People in power, whether red or blue, they could not care less about Texas, me and you. They created this give me country that don't value hard work. For a Texan to survive, all we need are some seeds and dirt. Texan, arise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country before it's long gone. Texan, arise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country before it's long gone. We believe in family and we value our community. Gladly lend a helping hand to a neighbor in need. And we don't believe that government should provide for all of society's needs. No, it's the pride of a Texan to give to others voluntarily. Texan, arise, don't you hear your call? Gotta save your country before it's long gone. Texan, arise, don't you hear your call? Gotta save your country before it's long gone. They like our tax dollars and they love our natural resources. They don't want to see us driving trucks, they'd rather see us riding horses. And now they want to ban our guns, you know, especially the ones that look scary. But may I remind you of the Gonzales Cannon and the Alamo heroes we buried. Texan, arise, don't you hear your call? We got to save our country before it's long gone. Texan, arise, don't you hear your call? We got to save our country before it's long gone. This last verse is straight from the Texas Constitution, Article 1, Section 1 and 2. Look it up. Texas is an independent state, yet presently we suffer. We no longer possess the right to locally self-govern. And now it's time as a people in which all political power is inherent. And in such manner we find expedient, we reform or abolish our government. I said, Texan, arise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country before it's long gone. Texan, arise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country before it's long gone.
All right, good evening, everyone. It's that time, right? It's the time when we get together. I get a cup of coffee, and we hang out together for a while, answer your questions, and talk about what you want to talk about. Wow. Yeah. So I understand this may be a bit of a shock to the system for some of you because it is not Wednesday night. It is indeed Thursday night. And it has literally nothing to do with the holidays. It's just timing, scheduling. It's just the way it is. But I am here with you right now, and we're going to do that thing that we do when we have the opportunity to get together. So for those of you who do not know what in the world is going on, I'm Daniel Miller, president of the Texas Nationalist movement, and this is a little thing that we like to call Late Night Coffee Talk, where I take a break from whatever work I'm doing. I fire up the camera and the microphone. I pour yet another cup of coffee. Ooh, wow, that matches. Yeah, anyway, I pour another cup of coffee, and I take your questions live, right? Some of you have submitted questions already to that address right there. You can also email coffeetalk@dtnm.org. You can email your questions or just drop them into the chat, no matter where we're streaming, right? If it's on YouTube or Facebook or now X, you have the ability to participate in the comments and chat. Drop your questions in there. And Kara is about, I don't know, 30 feet, 20 feet, whatever it is, that direction, watching those things. And if she happens to see it, I mean, it does scroll a bit like a slot machine, but she will tag it and flag it, and I will try to get to it. And we're going to have a good one tonight. So let me, before we get kicked off, let me just go ahead and thank Mr. Chris Milton for the coffee tonight. He found some really, really interesting coffee, and it tastes phenomenal. And it is, Chris, just so you know, I'm, well into the test, and it is working perfectly. So I'm going to be enjoying this cup of coffee tonight, but you grab whatever beverage of your choice is. It's just, for me, it's coffee, right? I mean, I gotta just keep going. And sometimes caffeine is the way to make that happen. All right, let's get down to it. Guys, be sure to get your questions. And if I don't say this, I will get in trouble. Be sure, if you're watching on YouTube, to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Be sure to share the link to this video. Additionally, if you're on Facebook, be sure to like and comment and share. And if you're on X, do all the X things, retweet. I mean, what do they call it now? Now that it's like sort of this half in, half out thing. You still go to twitter.com to get there, right? But now it's called X, and you used to retweet. What do you do now? I don't know, but do that thing. And be sure to share your comments on there as well. Like it. I mean, look, this is how you defeat the algorithm, right? This is how you go in there and you say, I like these things, and it helps other people see it. So, it's not that you're doing anything for me in particular, but you are helping other people on these platforms, see what we're doing. They get their chance to come in here and ask questions too. All right. I am going to tuck into it. I am waiting for you guys in the chat to drop some questions. So I will go to some of the email questions, and we'll get jumped off here tonight. Stephen asks, he says, question is, connecting the power grid to the other networks, are you concerned about a loss of independence? And guys, I'm sorry, I wish I could show the email questions on the screen easier. I can't, so that's Stephen's question. But absolutely. And I actually got finished recording this week's episode of the podcast, and I talk a little bit about the situation. People act like there is no connection between the Texas grid and this East interconnect and this West interconnect. And there is already some, right? There are some, but what they're essentially doing is talking about building more and more of these transmission lines. So essentially they can siphon power off of us, and in their minds that we can, get power when we need it from these other places. But the challenge with that is really we don't need to be moving toward further integration with the federal system, right? As long as we are a state in the union, I think that it is in the best interest of Texas to absolutely resist as much of that further integration as possible. And when you start tying in to their grid, I mean, think about what the federal government will do to regulating Texas power in the Texas grid now. Then, given what they do now, let's not forget during Snowpocalypse 2021, we had to go to the federal government and ask for a waiver to buy power from other states, when all that green energy failed. And we had to ask for a waiver, and they said, sure, you can have it as long as it comes from green energy sources in other states. And it's like, are you guys nuts? I mean, we literally were having this once in a lifetime, once in a century even type of weather event. And because of their green energy BS, we had power failing left and right. And so then we have to go begging to them for a waiver to buy power. I mean, how ridiculous is that? So hopefully, I mean, we've seen some steps taken related to ERCOT and the PUC. Hopefully what we will see moving forward is a rejection of this green energy production nonsense here in Texas and move back toward the construction of some of this core power generation facilities. Build some more nuke plants, right? Build some clean coal power plants. Go, make sure that we've got the natural gas fueled plants winterized, I guess you would call it. Just make sure they're resilient, and then we'll be good to go. But as far as trying to do what AOC and the squad and the rest of those quisling Democrat congressmen from Texas, I'm not keen on that. All right, let me throw that on the old do not disturb. Our internal chat, it does that if I don't put it on do not disturb. So anyway, yeah, I am concerned about the loss of independence. All right, let's see what we got going on here. Next question. All right, let's take this one. This is a fun one. Mike wants to know, will Texans ever get together to separate from the United States? Mike, that's exactly what we're doing here. That's exactly what we're working on. And, it's such a simple question for such a complex thing, right? I mean, if any of us could wave a magic wand, it would already be done, but that's not how political movements win or get across the finish line. It does not do us any good to have a naive view of this, that suddenly, everybody links pinkies and sing kumbaya and we're there. There is a process and it takes work to get through the process. And I would encourage you to reach out to any of our volunteers, and talk to them about their experience, about how it is both rewarding, but it does take work just to get people moved and motivated and organized to do the things necessary to get and win a vote on Texit. So thank you for your question, Mike. Okay, let's go take another one from email. Oh, this is going to be a fun one. A lot of you long timers out there are going to really, really enjoy this one. Rolf wants to know, I absolutely support our independence, and you will find my name on the members list at the very top. If needed, I will fight for it. Since the opposition is always lying at us, I will ask you one question that is very important to me. I am retired and almost 70 years old. When we gain independence, what happens to my Social Security? I receive a little money from overseas as I have worked there, but if I lose my Social Security, I am screwed. I have paid my entire life and still pay for my Social Security. Should I still get my Social Security after we become independent, or are some negotiations needed for that? Thank you for answering this very important issue for me. Rolf, thank you for sending in your question. Here is the best news that you will hear all night long, and that is this is, without a doubt, one of the most asked questions that we get on the Texit issue. And I will give you a brief answer on it tonight. But I would also encourage you to head over to texitnow.org, which is a website that we launched that has answers to that question and so many more in excruciating detail. But what I want to do is just kind of tackle your question as presented. And the answer is probably. As it stands right now, actually, you have part of the answer in your question. You talk about how you worked overseas and you received those pension benefits from overseas. Well, part of that is because very likely wherever it is that you worked has what's called a totalization agreement with the United States federal government. And it essentially says that if you put in work credits into that country's pension system and then move, and then you put work credits into this pension system, it becomes totalized as total work credits, and then you receive the pension benefits. In other words, you don't lose credits for moving from country to country. And most of the Western countries around the world that have these sorts of pension systems have a situation like that. But also, you have to look at current federal law. Current federal law essentially says if you're a federal pension benefit recipient and you move to another country, as long as that country is not under banking sanctions, then you still collect your federal pension benefits. And the one caveat there is that you can't give up your citizenship in the United States. If you renounce your citizenship, then you give it up. Some people make the claim that, when we withdraw from the union, that the federal government will strip everyone's citizenship that's in Texas. And first off, that's a load of horse hockey. Let's just go there. It is incredibly difficult in the United States federal system to strip anyone of their citizenship. About the only way that people lose their citizenship is if they go and renounce it. They go to a foreign country and they go to the U.S. Embassy. They renounce their U.S. citizenship in favor of becoming a citizen of another country. You also have dual citizens. So, the point here is that there is already a really kind of an answer to that in the existing system. However, To your final point about, is this something that would have to be negotiated? Absolutely. This will be talked about in negotiations. We have to be able to protect the federal pension benefits of the people in Texas that have paid into that system. But more than that is, we have to be able to protect those work credits that were developed under that pension system, and ensure that those people who paid into the system get their money back. And that will be, I guarantee, a conversation that's had in relation to a lot of other things, like the federal debt issue, or federal property inside of Texas, or there's just any number of things. It could be even a part of the negotiation of a trade agreement with the federal government. So, you probably, as I said, you're definitely probably 95% going to be there. But I will tell you what the highest likelihood is, right? You have to think about the issue that the federal government itself has admitted, that the Social Security system is effectively on the road to bankruptcy, right? We see the figures for it running out of money sliding closer and closer every single solitary year, to the point now that they have projected the ultimate collapse of the Social Security system somewhere around the year 2030. So I suspect that may be sliding even further as the United States just continues to run up the debt and inflation goes absolutely bonkers. So the question that I think you should probably be concerned about is, if we stay, are you going to receive your Social Security? I think the highest likelihood for you to at least be able to preserve some of that wealth that you put away is for Texas to become an independent nation. But the federal government is on a kind of a bit of a death spiral where that's concerned. So I would just encourage you to kind of think about that in your calculus about this issue, and understand that really and truly, like I said, if you want to try to save some of that wealth, then or at least what you paid into that system, then your best path forward is very likely Texit. All right, but thank you for the question, Rolf. Excuse me. All right, let's see what we got over here. Let's take one from over here. Oh man, there's a bunch. All right, here we go. Lauren wants to know, will the TNM have a booth at the convention in May? And what will the organization's goals and objectives be for the convention? I will tell you that the likelihood of the TNM having a booth at the Republican convention this year is hovering about zero. And, find it very difficult to pour money into the coffers of an organization that deprived our people of their rights and broke the Texas election code. And I'm not saying it's the entire party, but I'm saying that as long as they have a certain chairman at the helm, we're going to take the same attitude toward the party and the party officials like we took when Tom Meckler was there, and he used and abused Texas supporters then. So it's that likelihood's hovering around zero. And the question is, what will the org's goals and objectives be for the convention? Be looking for an email. Susan Williamson is actually working on a training that will go down next week. And so you will be getting an email. If you're getting our emails, you'll be getting an email about that very thing. And that's going to be up to them to talk about, but there are some definite objectives. There's no doubt about it. So thank you for your question. Okay. Let's see here. Wow, man, there's a lot of these. Oh, this is a good one. Oh, I wish I had my stack here. Oh, this would be lovely. So the question is, do you think California Phelan, I don't think that's his first name, maybe it's his last name, I don't know, is going to be speaker again? And for those of you who don't know, Lynn is talking about Dade Phelan, who is the Speaker of the House. He is a state representative in House District 21. And I am sitting in his district right now. And if I would have anticipated that this question was coming, I would have brought you the stack of mailers that they are sending in this race. So Lynn, what you're asking is you're asking me to make a prediction, and I will tell you this is I will say that in politics I've never seen a cycle like this one. Not once. During the Tea Party wave, there was, maybe a little spikiness and nastiness from the establishment. Back when I ran for state rep in 2012, I mean, it got a little spicy here and there. Since then, you've had some contested kind of primaries where you saw these uprisings, but this is something special. I literally have never seen anything like this in Texas politics. The level of campaigning and money and hate and vitriol and lies and mischaracterizations. I mean, this is one for the record books. I can't, and I say this not, I guess kind of maybe as a political wonk, just because I get interested in these sorts of things, but I'm quite interested to see the postmortem on this, to see how much money some of these guys spent per vote. That's a really good measuring stick. But next podcast, the podcast that drops next week, I'm actually going to do a deep dive that I did sort of for some of our leadership on the fly about how money is flowing into these races. And you'll be able to see that for the establishment side, it's really just a handful of people dumping money in that keeps shuffling around from place to place. And that's excluding some of these other PACs, some of these, what I call lobby PACs. They're industry specific. They typically will always fund incumbents because they're trying to court favor for the next legislative session. But I'm talking about some of these real, I guess you could call them slimy PACs, that are just, they are ideologically driven. They double down on the political establishment, and really what their main goal is power. It's not even just influence, it's control. So I say all that as a setup to say, I can't predict what's going to happen. I can tell you this. I think Karen and I talked about this the other day, and she happened to pull up the figure. And I think as of the campaign finance report that she pulled, Dade himself, just his campaign, has spent about $1.3 million. That was $1.3 million in expenditures. And I'm pretty sure that some of that is going to prop up some of these other candidates that are in trouble as well. But that doesn't include money that's being spent on behalf of the candidates, on behalf of Dade, by these shadowy PACs, right? They have these sort of legitimate sounding names, but they're fake. I mean, they're real, but they are sort of fake in how they present their actual purpose. And I'll leave that for some other time. So to your question though, do I think that Phelan's going to be the speaker again? Well, that depends on whether or not he gets elected. He's got to get through March the 5th. And there are three candidates in this race. You've got, Dave Phelan, you've got his challenger, David Covey, and you got another challenger named Alicia Davis. And Alicia Davis is not raising a ton of money, but she's spending money, whatever she can, and she's running one heck of an insurgent campaign. And of course, Covey is absolutely out there going head to head with Dave Phelan. He's raising and spending. I mean, I think I've got a hanger on my door still from a Covey block walker. This is the third time they've hit our house. So, everybody's working. So you very well could see Dade Phelan. You could see the House district the HD 21 race in a runoff. You could see Dade get below 50%. And if it goes to a runoff, he's in more trouble than he is right now. I mean, he's having to run hard. You gotta, when you're looking at these races like this, you got to understand these candidates and these PACs don't spend money unless they have to, right? I mean, you got guys that get kind of altruistic with other people's money. I mean, isn't that what politicians often do? But when you start seeing a race spending at these levels, you have to understand that they feel like that they're in trouble, but it's more than just a feeling because they are polling. As a matter of fact, I think I saw on one of the campaign finance reports for Dade, was it Dade or was it, maybe it was Jeff Leach? I can't remember, but you've got, PACs like Texans for Lawsuit Reform that are spending buku bucks polling for these candidates, and they're polling these races, and they're telling them, look, if those results are coming back and they're saying, look, you're 30 points ahead of your nearest challenger and you're, at 60 or 70%, they're not going to be spending $1.3 million. So you see spends like that for these district races when they know they're in trouble. And that would go for Dade Phelan. That would go for Lyon Lynn Stuckey. It would go for the Troxclair Biederman race, I think would be one of those. You're seeing it in a lot of these races, the Mike Alcott race, the Shelley Luther race. You're seeing, just basically go down our list of pledge signers and you start looking at the campaign finance reports and understand these guys like Trent Ashby and Ernest Bales and some of these, these incumbents are having to spend lots and lots of money, and if they don't have to spend it, they won't spend it. And this tells you that they are in big, big, big trouble. And just because, don't get dismayed, just because the challengers aren't raising and spending at the same rate as the incumbents, most of them are working their tails off. They're out there block walking. I can't remember which one of our candidates we talked to the other day. But right out of the gate, I think before the race ever got started good, they had already knocked 10,000 doors. It's just, that's how you win. You may be outspent, but you cannot be outworked. So, I guess whether he's going to be speaker again is going to be completely dependent upon whether or not he even gets reelected as a state rep. But then if he does get reelected as a state rep, then some calculus is going to have to be made as far as the Republican caucus in Austin, in the Texas House. How damaged will he be coming out of this? And March 5th will tell you everything you need to know. If it is a bloodbath and the incumbents absolutely squash the challengers, then Dade Phelan is speaker again. If the opposite is true, if Dade Phelan were to get elected, but all of these, he gets key members of his leadership knocked out and a bunch of incumbents get knocked out and are replaced by challengers, I don't know that Dade Phelan will get to be speaker again. Not without a Strauss-like deal with a handful of Republicans and a caucus of Democrats. So March 5th is going to tell you all you need to know. I will be watching it like it's the Super Bowl. That's just me. All right. Thank you for that question, Lynn. That was a long answer. Give me an opportunity to talk about that because it's just been on my mind a lot, obviously. K9 Raven says we should flood the convention with T&M shirts. You absolutely should. Look, we're encouraging everyone in the T&M that is a Republican voter to go to your precinct convention, to go to your county SD convention, and then go to the state convention. We are encouraging that, right? We encourage our folks to get involved in whatever political party they're in, and the Republican Party especially so, simply because of what has happened with the petition and everything else. It's vitally important. We're encouraging everyone. If you vote Republican and you were in the T&M, you need to make plans to do whatever you can to be go to your, like I said, go to your precinct convention and go to your county and SD convention, and then make plans. Go in there and lobby to go to the state convention. Be a delegate for the T&M. Wear your Texas shirt and let them know you don't like the fact that party leadership spiked the Texas vote, right? So absolutely, you should flood the convention with T&M shirts, and you do that by having a bunch of T&M delegates. Okay. Okay, here we go. James Durbin says, do we have a one vote vacate the chair in the Texas legislature? Nope, that's the federal government. That is not us. That is the United States Congress, and that happens a lot. We get people all the time that think that the Texas legislature works the same way as the U.S. Congress. It does not. everyone should pay very close attention to what happens and how the Texas legislature works. It is not the United States Congress. It is not modeled. Its operations are not modeled after the U.S. Congress, although structurally you have a House and a Senate. There the similarity ends. I mean, they gather in a room. I mean, there's some kind of base level similarities, but their operation rules function very differently. And so, no. Okay. Let's see what we got here. I tell you what, let's go over here to email real quick. I don't want the emailers to feel left out. And by the way, the email address is right there if you want to email your question in. Look at that. That's like special effects. It's like Lucasfilm is producing this, right? Okay, so Larkin writes us from Louisiana. Larkin is a youth pastor. Awesome. Do you support Texas joining other states that have become independent after Texas gains in independence, such as Louisiana? And if so, let me be very clear. If by joining you mean forming another union like the one we are leaving, then no, I do not support that. If you mean that we do like independent nations around the world do, which is, we have a mutual defense treaty, we have a free trade agreement and a travel agreement, and things that other self-governing independent nation states around the world do today, then absolutely. I believe that Texas and any other state that wants to withdraw from the United States could 100% do that. But the big difference here is we're not in a absolute political and economic union. That's what got us to this point in the first place. Was that shift when you had the founders and the framers envision a union that had a very small federal government that managed a very few things, right? And then you had the states that were independent, individual, sovereign. They could do pretty much whatever they wanted to, but they were united in a common defense, a common foreign policy, a common trade policy, very few things. Well, once they began to centralize, but once that was established and people realized that they could just gradually grow federal government and continue to suck power into Washington, D.C., then, it was game over, right? I mean, at that point, the union was toast. It was just inevitable that they were going to continue to put their heel and slowly grind it on everyone. So while I support every state having the conversation that we're having, and I do believe firmly that virtually every state could make a really solid case for why they should be independent nations, why they should withdraw from the union, I do not foresee Texas getting hooked up in some other absolute political and economic union on the other side of independence. That's why I think one of the criticisms we've had for Scotland and for Catalonia is both have expressed their desire to be independent and then turn around and join the European Union. It's like, what does that mean? Why would you do that? Have a trade agreement, set up a travel, have that conversation as a peer among nation states. Why would you want to gain your independence only to hand it over to another unelected body of people or a body of people that you didn't elect? Why would you want to hand that sovereignty and independence over after you've fought so hard to get it? It's made absolutely zero sense to me. But again, it doesn't have to make sense to me. That's their business. Okay, let's get down here. Man, these questions are piling up tonight. You guys are working overtime. Let me see if we got any more. Hey, but thank you for that question, Larkin. I do appreciate it. Okay, here we go. Karsten says, question: now that the Supreme Court of Texas shot us down, what now? Do we just try again in 2 years? Haven't been paying too close attention lately. So if this has already been answered, oops. Okay. Look, I'll refer you to some of the stuff that we've written on the website. I talked about it extensively on a previous podcast. I even think that I talked about it maybe I answered this on the last coffee talk, but here's the broad strokes. We're well past the Supreme Court of Texas. The Supreme Court of Texas shot us down, from what we understand, based off the calendar, right? We don't know for sure, but they rejected hearing it. And I think it had to do really with the calendar, simply because you have a situation that I detailed in the last coffee talk a little bit. I talked about it. There's a podcast about this. If you'll go to the website and go look for the Texas News Podcast, you'll find it. But I go into great detail about it. And, it's like it's the Supreme Court of Texas. We had the issue with the district court there in Travis County. So where we stand right now, I think your question is, do we try again in 2 years? It's like we don't need to try anymore, right? We're already working to get it on the ballot via the Texas Independence Referendum Act. The having it on the primary ballot was part of a strategy to advance discussion about this issue. And let me tell you something, it would have been lovely to have it on the ballot. I mean, I hate like crazy that Rinaldi did what he did. I wanted to be able to go to the polls during this early voting period and answer the question, should the state of Texas reassert its status as an independent nation? But the question, I think, ultimately is to what net effect? If you're talking about doing this petition campaign in 2 years, why? We know that we've got the support right now. We're seeing it all over. We've got the momentum moving into really what is sort of beyond having the question on a primary ballot. I mean, we've got momentum going into the next legislative session. That's why I encourage everyone, look, if you are in a district that's got candidates that sign the Texas First Pledge, you better get out there and you need to hustle for those guys. You need to get people to the polls. You need to drive people to the polls. Go get your friends, your neighbors, you make a plan with them, go get it done. Because with the momentum we've got now, we have the opportunity, I believe, an unprecedented opportunity to put a tremendous amount of political pressure both on the governor after the petition signatures and given what's happening on the border, plus a new crop of Texas legislators that are going to be more amenable to this conversation. And, I'm looking at Texas Independence Referendum Act, and I'm saying, look, man, this is the time. You have to remember, while we've had the bill introduced the last two sessions, this is not dissimilar to the Texas Gold Depository Act, right? It was introduced in two sessions. It absolutely went nowhere, but the third one was when it got its slam dunk. So it's really about timing and momentum. And I want you to imagine for a moment what the situation is going to be like when the next legislature goes to take their seats, right? What is that going to look like? I don't think it is beyond the pale that we could see some circumstances that Abbott could be politically forced to call a special session. I mean, I think it's there. I mean, that's why we delivered the petition signatures, why we issued the call. I don't think it's beyond the pale that it at least opens up some discussion about that after the primaries. But understand that we're well suited. So I don't know that there would be any need to do another petition campaign. I mean, I think the people of Texas are speaking right now, and they're saying very clearly that they want a vote on independence. So thank you for the question. And in that other podcast, I talk about what our next legal steps are. So be sure to check that out. Will wants to know, is the Texas government blocking you? I don't know specifically what you mean by, is the Texas government blocking us, but do we have opposition inside the political establishment in Texas? 100%. It's one of the things that we talk about in our leadership principles that we try to help all of our leaders understand, is that we are opposed. And, a lot of that is that overcoming bureaucratic inertia. But the other part of this too is active plans by key elected members in the political establishment, plus big money donors that want to do everything they can to keep Texas in the union, because they earn from it. It's just something that they do. And I'm, there's no need to go into the details for that, but I think you know that the political establishment does not want you to have a vote on Texas. Number one, they know if it goes to a vote, it wins. But the other thing that they understand is that just by having this vote, it will be the thing that ultimately breaks the back of the political establishment and institutes some much needed regime change right here in Texas. So just bear that in mind. Lisa says, any word back from Governor Abbott? Not yet. And actually touched on it a moment ago. I don't expect to hear anything public or official from Governor Abbott until after the primaries. That's where their focus is right now that we're in early voting. But, you never know what conversations may be going on behind the scenes. Okay. Let's see. All right, let me check email again. Guys, you're sending in great questions tonight, and I am doing my dead level best to get through these, to get to them all. Oh man, these are such great questions. Okay, let me take a fun one, and then I'll go lightning round. I got so much time. Okay, Christopher Milton, by the way, thank you for the coffee. He says, wasn't Sasquatch pole greeting inside of the red line for Lynn Stuckey? If you don't know, and I don't have it to pull up, but Lynn Stuckey's race has been particularly terrible in that he has done everything he can to attack the character of really one of the nicest and finest finest people that I know, and that's Andy Hopper. Andy and Amanda and their family are just absolutely stellar individuals, and Andy has no desire to go to Austin to be a politician. He is running because he believes that Texas is in trouble, and it's in trouble because of establishment incumbents that are weaker than a 5-gallon bucket of baby urine. Okay. And frankly, I would say Lynn Stuckey qualifies for that description. He is about as go along to get along as you possibly can get. He is virtually indistinguishable from the chair that he sits in on the floor of the House, so much so that if he were to sit still for 5 minutes, someone might try to reupholster him. Okay. And people may look at that and say, well, you're attacking the guy's character. Well, I'm not really attacking Lynn Stuckey's character. I'm just calling it like it is. He's about as worthless as you can possibly get. And we need fighters and warriors in the Texas legislature right now. And so because Stuckey is running hard, you have to remember Hopper almost won that race last cycle. He lost by about 100 votes. And so Stuckey knows he's in trouble. And because of that, he's pulled out all the stops. I mean, you want to talk about just a baby throwing a temper tantrum. So he takes a picture of one of Hopper's poll workers. I think it might have been Monica. That whole crew up there, just great people. Whoever it was, and tried to claim that, oh, look at them, they're electioneering inside the 100-foot line, or whatever that nonsense is, and it was a lie. The picture was taken from the wrong side of the sign. And so, it's just, he's gotten to that point where he's making some just ridiculous claims. And then the claims are so ridiculous that I just took a picture of a Sasquatch with a campaign sign and photoshopped it in there and said that his claim was, if that claim was believable, then, what makes this picture any less credible? Fighting back. You can't let this stuff abide when they say and do stupid stuff. And they have been really eager to jump on character assassination in this thing. And I'm just going to tell you right now, if you're coming to assassinate Andy Hopper's character, then it's going to be a lie. It's just going to be a lie. There's no two ways about it. All right. Thank you for the fun one. All right. Let's lightning round this. All right. Hey, thank you very much for this. Says, thank you, Daniel, for all that you do. You make many sacrifices for this movement, and we're all grateful. We're also grateful for your family and their sacrifices in this fight. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, and it's nice to hear words of encouragement. We get lots and lots of hate mail. The opposition's very motivated to just say some of the most vile things. I mean, just vile things, and so I really, really do appreciate it, and I know Kara does too. So thank you for that. Okay. Wow. All right. So yeah, here we go. This is Larry. Larry says we need to rise above things instead of being petty. We have to continue to educate the public, and gaining traction in the Republican Party is paramount to the success of Texas. And I understand that sentiment about not being petty, but I'm not entirely sure if the context of your statement is that our righteous indignation about the leadership of the party is petty. I would counter that it makes Matt Rinaldi functionally indistinguishable from Dave Phelan, because ultimately neither one of them care about the rule of law. And you can see that written all over what happened with the Paxton impeachment and how they ramrodded that thing through. Not making a statement on the guilt or innocence of Ken Paxton, not my place to do that. I am not the judge nor the jury on that issue. But what I am saying is that there was a fundamental lack of respect for due process and for the rule of law in the Texas House, which forced that entire situation over to the state Senate. And I would say that Matt Rinaldi is effectively the same thing. And if and I'm not trying to be contrary here, but I'm trying to help you understand the fact that there are going to be a lot of people inside the organization, particularly 139,456 petition signers, plus all the volunteers that helped gather signatures, plus a large portion of people inside the organization who are going to view that as not being a petty issue. They're going to view it as, look, we did all the right stuff, and we were deprived of justice, and we were deprived of our day to have this on the ballot. And so, some may see that as a petty squabble, but understand that this is the issue of independence for us is not one issue among many. Independence is the primary goal here. It's in our mission, the political, cultural, and economic independence of the nation of Texas, right? And so, with that as the main thing, I understand that there are voices out there that would rather us just sit down, shut up, and just swallow it and just get over it, whatever it is. There's a much bigger picture. No, there is no bigger picture, because if you think that any of this other rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic trumps the ability of Texas to extract itself from a federal system that wants to crush us, that doesn't really want Texas to exist at all, then it's just a difference of perspectives. It just means that we have a difference in priorities, and it doesn't mean that I don't respect people that are there when they kind of view Texas as just one thing among many. But it tells me that fundamentally there are people out there that do not really understand the existential threat that Texas is in. And so, independence is the thing that solves all of the problems. And when you have people for very political reasons do very wrong things against both the letter of the law and the spirit of Article 1, Section 2 of the Texas Constitution, to deprive us of our ability to advance Texas toward independence, then we're not going to view that as petty. But again, we may disagree a bit, maybe different perspectives. But you are right in what you're saying about we have to continue to educate the public. I mean, we're there. I heard an interview that was done with some quote unquote political expert who acknowledged that we're gaining traction. But he said even the most hardcore of the hardcore conservatives run from. It's like, dude, you haven't looked at the platform lately. I mean, the Republican Party of Texas platform, probably one of the most hardcore platforms of any state party. I think Texas may be one of the only state parties that has a platform. But it literally has two planks calling for a Texas vote. You've got about 25% of the House seats under contention that are being contended by people who signed a pledging to give Texas a vote on independence. You've got sitting elected officials that have signed our pledge. I can go through the list, but I'm not here to peacock. But what I am here to say is, I agree. We need to continue to educate the public. We need to go out there and reach out and touch voters. But more than gaining traction in the Republican Party, it's there. I mean, we're our people are solidly there, and that's whether or not we have a booth or not. I mean, that's just kind of the way that it is. So, thanks for your question, though. Okay. Trading for Science says, are you worried if we do become our own country, then everyone would move here and it gets crowded? No, I am not worried about that at all. We are witnessing a massive net in migration already. So that is sort of the status quo. We've got, property values that are skyrocketing all over places. We've got infrastructure and resource issues. And that's because we have a lot of political, cultural, and economic refugees coming from other states, not to mention the $12.5 billion annual burden that we have to bear as Texas taxpayers from the federal government's intentional collapse of our southern border. So, if you ever want to manage growth here in Texas, your only way to do that is to do so as a self-governing independent nation. Okay, let's get here. Okay, we got some repeaters. Karsten wants to know, I go to university in another state. Roughly 30% of my classmates are from Texas. What can I do to grow the movement? Here's what I will do. I will tell you, I'm just going to tell you, I can't pull it up on the screen, but if you go to tnm.me/ if you go to the TNM website and go to, hang on, I'm gonna see if I can find this for you. tnm.me. There's nothing more interesting than watching someone type on a keyboard while you're on a live stream. If you go to tnm.me/campaigns and you go down to the ongoing campaigns, you're going to find one called Join the Texas Campus Network. And I would encourage you to go there. Again, it's tnm.me/campaigns with an S, and scroll down to the ongoing campaigns, and you will find one that is specifically geared toward college students. And I think it's extremely important. It's why we've got Beverly over there working with and coordinating and trying to build that effort. And so I'm sure she would love to hear from you. Okay, this is from Larkin. Oh yeah, via email. There you go. Larkin says, what advice would you give to someone who wanted to start an independence movement? That is a great question. There's no way on the live stream I can walk you through the steps, but I would encourage you to reach out to us if you are indeed looking to do something in Louisiana like we're doing here, or what's happening in New Hampshire or any of these other places. We can have that conversation and would love to give you some guidance and advice. I mean, we do that sort of thing on the regular anyway. We learned a long time ago when we founded the TNM. There was this 2-year-long study, you heard me talk about it, where we examined independence movements around the world to look at ones that had succeeded, ones that had failed, ones that were contemporary. And of course, part of that was looking at independence movements around the United States, the rest of North America, places like that. And from that, we gained so much insight into what it was that we needed to do to be successful at our endeavor. And so that's really why we are keen on talking to people in other states that don't have official independence movements to help them kind of get jump started. So definitely reach out. But for me to answer your question, there are, I think, a couple of key pieces of advice that I could give you. And this is by no means a comprehensive plan. But number one is, if your intention is to start one, if you are the person, then you have got to develop, you have to be pledged to the end, right? To see it through or until the gravedigger pats you in the face with a shovel. That's the level of commitment you're going to need, right? You're going to have to be so committed to seeing the vision or the dream of independence come to fruition that you are, you're willing to personally give, right? I mean, I can tell you there were times in the history of the TNM where basically my children got a Dollar Tree Christmas, so we could just maintain the website for people to engage with us. I mean, that's just kind of where this thing goes. And you're gonna, you may have ups, you may have downs, but you have to be thoroughly committed so that that every day when you roll out of the rack, you know what your purpose is, and you have to make that your purpose. So you have to examine that yourself first, because if you don't start with that and then sort of build around that commitment, what you end up with is some movements that I've seen flare up in other states, or people who have tried to do the same thing here in Texas, is they begin to treat it like it's a softball booster club. They don't have that sort of revolutionary mindset that you've got to have to say, look, I am now, when I woke up yesterday, I was one thing, but when I woke up today, I am this different thing, and this is what I'm going to be from there on. Sounds like a chapter I need to write in a book or something, but that would be my first piece of advice: is you've got to really examine your personal commitment. And I'm going to just, I'll tell you this, and this is a big slam. You have people out there talking all the time saying I'm a grifter and all this kind of crap. I don't get paid for this. I've converted about 2/3 of my house into T&M office stuff. Like, this room actually used to be a dining room when this house was built, and where Kara used to be a sun porch on the back of the house. They got closed in after one of the hurricanes blew the back windows out, and that's an office. And then it's taken over, and I don't get paid. I mean, I had somebody talk the other day about, what about your book sales? Well, I mean, my last royalty check for my book was like $200 for the quarter, and that's because I give the T&M my author discount, so I don't get paid when books get sold through the T&M. Right, that money goes to the T&M. 99% of the times I'm on the road, I don't get an honorarium. Some organizations do, and I'm very thankful for it. But a lot of times it's just I don't get paid for this. I do this because this is what I want to happen, and I'm willing to sacrifice and to give and to make that happen. So I digress. But here's the second part, and I'm going to have to make this quick because we're almost out of time. But here's the second thing you got to do. And my second piece of advice is, before you even start looking for other people, right? Because, independence is the goal, but independence is not the thing, right? It's the goal, and there's a plan and a path to get there. But before you start even looking for other people, you need to be very clear in both your mission and your principles. In that 2-year study, as we got toward the part where we were ready to start the T&M, the creation of the mission statement was very deliberate, very, very deliberate for us. It needed to be a holistic mission, and I'll just leave it at that without getting into the deep dive. There's actually, I think maybe there's a video on the website where I talk about that. It's like an old speech that I gave, like an old workshop where I talk about the importance of the mission. But you've got to have that very clear, sort of focused mission and principles, and say, these are the principles we're going to uphold. This is our mission. And you set that, and you have to not waver from that. You will come under pressure from every special interest out there, every armchair or Monday morning quarterback that wants you to go and fight this battle or go fight that battle. And let me tell you, there are a lot of worthy battles out there. There are a lot of things that you would love to talk about, love to chime in on, but at the end of the day, you have to be about the mission. The mission is the main thing, and it always has to be the main thing. And you have people that just sometimes don't understand that, but you want to have that very clear in your mind before you start engaging people on this issue, because that mission and adherence to that mission becomes ultimately the litmus test for building the core of the organization that will be necessary to build out the public support that will ultimately pull from the pillars of power and then lead you to independence. But that, my friends, is a whole other half-day workshop that I would have to give. But I really do appreciate it. And seriously, in all seriousness, if you're looking to do that, then please reach out. We would love to have those conversations with you and help any way that we can. Okay, my friends, that is going to be a wrap for tonight. Look, I would just encourage you to do this. If you are not already a member of the Texas Nationalist movement, head over to tnm.me/join and become a member today. Right? I mean, that's just, we want you. We absolutely need you. And, you may think, well, I don't know if I want to be a member, but understand that your membership is what helps us keep doing this. This is what helps us do live streams and, keep all of those resources available on the website and keep out there on the road and doing these meetings and meeting with legislators and helping it helps us do all of the things that we do. It helps us advance Texas. And, when you start looking at what it's going to take, we have to reach to win. We're the winning number for us when the referendum comes around is we will need 9.3 million yes votes. And the more of them we reach ahead of that vote and get their commitment and organize to get it, the easier it will be for us to cruise to victory. And frankly, that costs. So look, become a member today, tnm.me/join, or, definitely head over. And if you don't want to become a member, you just want to do something one time or set up a recurring monthly donation, we appreciate that as well. And you can do that at tnm.me/donate. Okay, my friends, as I said, that is going to be a wrap. Hey, look at this, late night coffee talk, nothing but your questions. It's like the old days. I mean, we split off all the commentary over to over to Texas News, the podcast, which will, it's here on YouTube. You'll be able to, you get it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. We've got lots and lots of media and articles going on the TNM News website. I mean, it's just a lot is happening right now. So I will tell you, I really appreciate the opportunity to do here what we're doing now, like I used to do back in the day, right? To go do those things, to go just sit here with you and ask, or have you ask me questions, and we just try to answer it and we get to hang out together. All right. Well, here's the deal. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. I will leave you with the words that I leave you with, but I'm going to close out. Betsy Dewey, one of our members, did a really cool thing. She wrote a song, she shot a music video for it and sent it over, and she actually played it for me before. She was interviewing me on her podcast. She busted out the guitar and played before she ever went into the studio. Well, she shot a video for it. So I'm going to leave you with the words of Sam Houston, and we're going to go out playing Betsy's video. It's called Texas. So in the words of Sam Houston, he said that Texas will again lift its head and stand among the nations. My friends, I believe that time is now. And the question is, will you stand with her? Here you go.
It's all going up in flames. Been heartbroken watching the destruction of our liberty. But suddenly I see we can be free. Texas will stand for the people again. Texas for our liberty. Yeah, oh, Texas, so we can be free. I love my country, not what it's become. Crooked corruption inside, so let's look to our declaration. When any form of government is destructive of these ends. It's time, my friend, to start over again. Texas will stand for the people again. Texas for our liberty. Oh, Texas so we can be free. Time to stand up is now. No fear, we're strong. Let's stand for a future with speech and rights guaranteed. Oh, one where our children are free. Among the nations, Sam Houston said, Texas will be independent again. Texas for our liberty. Oh, Texas so we can be free. Texas so we can be free.